Welcome to Crafty Hints. I'm Chantel. I'm so excited to have you here today. All of these DIYs are 5 minutes or less, and I look forward to reading your comments. Let's get crafty. I started with a pine cone that I found outside. You could definitely use the little pine cones at the Dollar Tree in their fall table scatter, or maybe you have some from Christmas last year. I just took this all apart. It reminded me the top of maybe an acorn. As you can see, I have those wood acorns from the Dollar Tree. I'm painting it in a Waverly chalk paint hazelnut. You could definitely use, a different shade of brown, or if you even wanted to do one that had a little bit of a shine to it, often, acorns do. I took a little bit of the antique wax and I thought, I'll just do the top of this. So I took a wet paper towel and I'm just kind of going around this, and I decided, you know what? Let's just do the whole thing. So I think on one or two of my acorns, I did the whole thing, and then the other one I left plain, just trying to make them look a little bit natural. They don't all look perfect and exactly the same out in nature. Now I'm going to take a little bit of hot glue, and then I'll take some of these pieces of the pine cone. And as you can see, these are the little bit longer pieces. Some broke off smaller, so I took some of the longer, bigger ones to be my first layer. And then I'm going to continue to stack them all the way around the acorn. Just a tiny dab of glue. I do like this really extra fine point glue gun. I did see them on Amazon. I've also seen them at Walmart. But I do have them down in my list of Amazon supplies if it's something you want to get quick. All right, just continuing to go around this acorn here. I am not going to show you me putting on every single one, but I kind of wanted to give you the idea of the first layer. So after I got the first layer on, I just took these tiny wire cutters and I went around and just snipped some of the extra big part off so that it's kind of even all the way around. So when I do my next layer, they'll lay nicely. That will help it taper up towards the top, as you can see here. Now I'm going to glue a skewer. I used a little antique wax on that, and I'm just going to put that in the center. So as I continue to put my layers in there, as you can see, I've put a couple of layers. I wasn't going to make you watch every single layer, but that's about, I think, 3 layers is what I did. And now it's the final pieces up around the stem. But I think it looks kind of realistic. All right, just finishing up these last little bits around the stem. And that looks pretty good, don't you think? I think it looks like a real little acorn. And here they are next to some faux leaves. Aren't those adorable? Here I started with some tumbling tower blocks, and I'm using a bit of wood glue. For this one, I took 3 of the tumbling tower blocks and glued them in group. So as I said, in groups of 3. And then one I did with 4. So I did 2 with 3 and 1 with 4. And then as you can see, I have my Waverly chalk paint. I love that pumpkin color. Oh, it's so nice. So after I painted those, I just took a wood block and whoo, I pitched this one after I was done. As you can see, this one's on its last leg and kind of falling apart. So I just did the edges, kind of, just roughed it up a little bit. And then I continued to gather some of my supplies outside. I grabbed, a branch and I just snapped off a couple pieces and then trimmed them to the size that I wanted. Super simple. So one of the sets of tumbling towers I did horizontally, and the other set I did vertically. And then the set of 4 I did vertically also. And then I had these leftover leaves off of a flower, and I just cut it apart. It was a set of 3. And so I just glued the end there. And now what I'm going to do is just wrap it right around that stem. So needed to trim it just a little bit more to get it out of the way, to give it room to attach around there, because I want to wrap it around so it kind of looks like, it grew with that branch. And then just pinch that in place. So I did all 3 of those. And you could trim these down even more, because they're not all going to grow, at this exactly the same like this one. I trimmed that one down just a little bit more so they do look different. They don't need to be all matchy-matchy, as you know. The good Lord makes pumpkins in all shapes and sizes. So that was kind of my thought, make them a little bit different. I'm still using pieces of my hula skirt. You could use raffia. But if you do see some of those leftover hula skirts, they come in awful handy. So I tied it around there and then just gave it a dab of glue. And then I wanted a little bit of curls to it. So I had taken it around a paintbrush and just heated it with my heat gun. And it gave it a bit of that ripple effect. Or curl effect, I should say. So it gave me the curls I was looking for. And you can do as many or as little as you want, of course. On some of the pumpkins, I didn't have quite as many of the tendrils coming off of there. Again, another great addition to our mini tiered tray. I think these will be fun, or they'd be fun on their own. Maybe on an end table or a shelf. Too cute. All right, one last mini here. These are the pumpkin ornaments from 2 different years at the Dollar Tree. I wanted them a little bit different. I painted them in pumpkin again, but my thought is, you don't want it just that flat orange. Let's get a couple colors going. If you think about a real pumpkin, they're going to have many different shades going on there and different shadows with their ribs. So that was my thought as, I mixed a few of these colors together. I mixed maize and I mixed pumpkin. I mixed a little bit of plaster. So I just layered some of these colors. I do hope that you've been enjoying these minis. If you have, of course, I'm asking for a thumbs up. Show YouTube that you've enjoyed it as well as other people. This is, I think that was burnt umber that I just mixed in just to get a little bit of a darker color there. But I always look forward to reading your comments. What shall we comment about today? So either comment about which one was your favorite, or how soon you start decorating for fall. Do you start as the kids go back to school, Or do you kind of start more towards the end of September, October? What do you do? I'd love to hear a little bit more about your decorating and how much you do. All right, a lot of this is self-explanatory. It's, just layering these different colors and where you might like it. I went in with just a little bit of a wet brush here to blend those colors. I am in no way, shape, or form a great painter, so I just kind of go off of what I think will work. I haven't taken any painting classes or anything, but I've thought about doing a couple of those online classes. So if you have a good suggestion for one of those, that might be fun to do. Maybe a little bit of a winter project. I will have one more of my big compiled videos of the last couple of years of some of my favorite DIYs. I have another video that has 10 from last year, but I did have some DIYs from the year before, so I'll compile a few more ideas. I got this from the Dollar Tree's Plus section, and I grabbed the leaf. They're kind of neat. They're really thick, and I was debating whether I should add another pumpkin, but I thought a leaf might be fun. So this is, again, where I came in. I painted it with that maze, and I just thought, I'm going to go around the edges. You could maybe even draw the veins of the leaf, but I just went in with the edges. And now I'm taking a little bit of this baker's twine or yarn that I found at the Dollar Tree, and I also had painted the stems in moss. And I just kind of wrapped it around, making it like, the vines and the tendrils that come off of a pumpkin. I used just a little bit of Mod Podge that I thought might help hold these in place with that string. And a little heat just kind of helps set that in place. So a little dab of glue to hold it there. And I found that these big leaves are pretty sturdy. So I used it kind of like a kickstand. So I just attached the leaf to the front of the two pumpkins and it held it right up. Again, I think these minis will be a great accent to any of your tier trays. I hope you've enjoyed all of these minis. I'll be moving on to other bigger fall decor. I just wanted to get you a bunch of ideas for your tier trays. Again, I'll come up with, 25 or so other videos that I've done, in other years. So put those together for you. But thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, share it with a friend. I also can't wait to read your comments on what you enjoyed, how you'll be decorating, but most of all, don't forget to take care of you. I appreciate each and every one of you and wish you a blessed day. Here's a few videos you might enjoy.